distract. Can't catch my breath. There's sand in the hourglass has stopped. You light up my world in ways I can't explain. Your electricity's running through my veins. Oh, baby, I can't help it. I've never felt like this. Only you can do what you do. Only you give me that deja vu. Only you. Before you found me, I was floating among the stars. No direction till I landed in your arms. Destiny makes sense when I look in your eyes. A new force of nature that brings me to life. Oh, baby, I can't help it. I've never felt like this. Only you can do what you do. Only you give me that deja vu. Only you.
gonna take control, leaving it for MJ. MJ with a double tap opportunity, and he gets it! MJ!
Gonna try to find another touch here, gets it around for Chance. Then gets another touch around Remzik. Maybe one man back. A good slam from Samuel, an insane redirect.
And go time, popping it up. Is anyone there? Suffer challenges. Suffer with a miss. Just Eli back. Dicky, getting it over top. And Low Ballers take the TV Grand Final.
Give it up for Low Ballers.
Cosmic slowly going towards the backboard as it pops over everyone, and Bone's able to get a shot off here. No, he's not getting the touch. And Cosmic with the boost that he needs, popping it over and it's straight center.
Let's give it up for your Division D champions, Ball Chasers.
Try to get that one. Raptor, he's gonna try to get a 50, not able to. Jive, he's gonna beat Ivor. He's gonna turn on this one.
And Unlimited Aura is going to Brazil. Give it up for your Dipsy champions, Rising Stock.
Almost. So next goal might be right here. Red Wizard followed by Squilliam. And 12 seconds left on the clock. Your Division B champions, Honey Nut.
No one's actually challenging. He was able to get that boost for free. We needed someone from Super Stars to go early, as this one does drop down. Ceiling shot is gonna be there, and Remzik doing what he does best.
And ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Division A champion, Acrobatic Aura.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here for another night on the Dakota Collegiate Rocket League channel. It's been a few days here, boys and girls, or men and women, whatever you guys are. It's been, you know, spring break's been going good, but I am ready to get back into some DCRL action. I am joined here on the desk here by man, the myth, the legend, Yellow Dog here tonight. Let's go over some of what's been going on here this season in DCRL, Yellow Dog.
Yeah, I mean, I got this idea from you. I'm not sure if you have done it this season at all, or last season, but I remember a couple seasons ago you did a mid-season update just in a chat in the Discord. So I thought it'd be pretty cool to do like a whole stream for it.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's like you said, I used to do kind of like I've done a couple different iterations. It used to just be like a Discord message. Sometimes I've done like I even did like a newspaper article type thing, but I figured let's you know, we've done like, let's get back into the swing of things. Let's do a stream and kind of just glaze over you know, what's been going on in DCRL this season between all 4 divisions in Div A, B, C, and D. So you know, Yellow Dog, we had to dress for the occasion here. Might as well. It's a special stream, which means a couple special boys get to join the join. Oh my, is that a rollie?
Diamond's dancing. There's dancing. Come on now. Come on, rock. Come on, roll. Come on.
Oh, my boy's all icy right now. Definitely feeling that. But basically the plan for tonight, probably gonna not be too long of a stream. We're gonna go ahead and start with Division D, and kind of go through, you know, each division, look at each team, talk about maybe some of the storylines that we've noticed for each division, and kind of see the current standings of things. We have 3 weeks left of the regular season before playoffs finally hit. If you are new here or don't know, playoffs, basically everybody makes playoffs. The only thing that regular season counts for is the seeding going into playoffs. And that's gotten more important in the last couple seasons of DCRL. The top 1 through 4 or 5 seeds, depending on what division you're in, get to choose who their first round matchup is in playoffs. So that's a little bit more, you know, reason to try harder in regular season. So with 3 weeks left of the regular season, it's gonna be fun to see how things roll out. But without further ado, I'll stop yapping. Let's go ahead and start talking about some of these teams and take a peek at the standings here. Let me go ahead and hide that. So like I said, we're gonna go ahead and start with Division D. Obviously, right off the bat here, Yellow Dog. I'm looking at the very top, and I'm looking at Lethal Shooters. They're 5-1 on the season. Look at that winning percentage. That is absolutely insane at 84%. That's almost 30% higher than the current number 2 seed of Winner POV. This team consisting of Ricky LaFour, Warrior, and Duck has just been absolutely popping off, just miles ahead of everybody in terms of in terms of winning percentage. This team is definitely the Titan of Div D, Yellow Dog.
So for sure, well, fun fact here, their first 5 series, they didn't drop a game. They went, was it 5 or? Yeah, 5. They went either 15-0 or 12-0. They went insane. They didn't lose a game for forever. It took them until their last match, I believe, to lose a game. I could be wrong. I think maybe they were 4-0 and then they won their last match. But no, nonetheless,
they were on an
absolute tear.
Yeah, and also I remember streaming a series. I think it was about I think it was 3 weeks into the season. Ricky LaFour had the highest shooting percentage I've ever seen. Obviously, it's dropped a little bit lower now, but he was at 75%. 75% shooting percentage through 3 weeks. That'd be one thing if it was one series, but doing that through 3 is just insanity to me. And obviously, he, like I said, joined by Warrior and Duck. Both of those players have been popping off as well. Warrior, one of the steals of this draft, in my opinion. Very high goals per game. He rivals captains in goals per game. And then Duck is also leading the entire division in assists per game. So this Lethal Shooters team looking truly, truly lethal this semester. Moving onwards, we do have Winner POV. We do have Winner POV. This team is consisting of Cubbles, Be the Greerus, and Charles. I don't think a lot of people expected this team to be second seed, 5 weeks, 5 series into the season. But there they are, finding themselves at the number 2 seed. Cubbles obviously not getting his name called up to Division C this semester, I think is playing a large factor into this. He's having a standout season so far. And he's paired with Be the Greerist, who is a former Division E captain, had a very good season last semester. They have a very aggressive play style, leading the division in demos per game. I don't think a lot of people expected it, but they're finding success and looking like true winners.
Yeah, you mentioned that Cubbles is going absolutely insane, almost getting a goal per game. Also at that high shooting mark, just like Ricky, shooting 44%. So he's just been an absolute shooter for this team. He's been exactly what this team has needed. He's just been a great captain for him so far.
Yeah, no doubt, for sure. Moving on, we do have Demo Demons, who is, in my opinion, another team that I don't know if a lot of people had on their radar. This team is consisting of a rookie of Obese Homing Pigeon, Elf22, and It's Me, Boa. That's, again, another one of those teams that I don't think a lot of people had on their radar. They have the capability, they've proven it throughout their schedule to take down some of these higher caliber teams, but seem to struggle in clutch time. They had a very good series in week 4 against Winners PRV, where they actually were able to find a dub and clutch a series, which might be a good sign. But if they can't start to close out some of those close series, it's not going to be great. But Demo Demons definitely finding some good success here this season.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure Obese Homing Pigeon, their captain, was the highest rated captain. I'm pretty sure he dropped a couple slots, if I'm not wrong. I'm pretty sure he's supposed to be Div C. So I mean, he's been doing pretty solid. He's about 0.9 goals per game, and the most saves on his team. So he's kind of doing a lot for this team.
Yeah, like I said, they have the win against Winners PRV, but they also lost to Rocket Rangers, which are the current 8 seed in the division, and also got 3-0 swept by Lethal Shooters. So You know, it's just
lethal shooters. Come on.
well, I know, but I'm just saying, you know,
What can you do?
For the teams that need to compete against lethal shooters, you know, I mean, it's this number 2, number 3 seed that, you know, theoretically should have the best chance. But we'll see if they can, you know, come playoff time when they get to face him. Hopefully, again, we'll see if they can take him down. But moving on, we do have a Blitz. And this team for me has been a very fun one to watch, to say the least. I think they've been on stream a couple times. And they have what I would consider probably the MVP of Division D so far, in KM King, who is the captain of this Blitz team. He's joined by It's Jank and Doshi. This is a team that I predicted to be very, very good in the preseason, you know, draft. Especially mainly because Doshi is the last pick on this team, and I expected him to go pretty much way higher. But KM King is looking nasty, leading the division in goals per game at 1.12, also leading the division in shots per game and goal participation at 78%. So this man is doing a lot of the work, being involved with so many of the goals scored for this team, and so really putting in a lot of work for this team offensively. I think if this team can find a way for Doshi and It's Jank to get a little bit more involved, this team is going to be disgusting going into playoffs.
I mean, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was gonna mention about KM King leading the division, but he's also leading his team in assists per game, which, you know, is obviously leading towards that 78. Yeah, he's leading his team. I mean, it's pretty close. By 0.8, he's leading in assists per game. But yeah, 78% is kind of nuts. It's a lot of goals that you're participating in.
Yeah, so like I said, I think if his teammates can start to, you know, there's different ways. I'm not saying it's on their team, on his teammates, but like I said, if they can start to get a little bit more involved, you know, passing, demos, whatever it may be, I think the Splits team is on the right track. Moving on, we do have ABOS, also stands for a bag of, is it salt or sugar? I don't even know. I don't know which one it is. Do you know? I'm sure someone in the chat knows, but
my headphones
gonna,
were tweaking out for like a good 10 seconds.
Does ABOS stand for a bag of salt or sugar? Do you know? Oh, is your headphones still tweaking out?
ABOS. He's with a little thicky, a little bit here and there. I think they're getting better though. I'm trying a different setup because I don't need the AirPods exactly under the headphones.
Yeah, you're right.
You're right. Set up. So I'm trying to just plug in the headphones directly to the laptop.
Oh yeah. We don't get to see the yellow dog setup yet, but it's a very interesting one. But yeah, moving on, we do have ABOS. They're finding decent success so far. I do think that this team had pretty high, you know, expectations coming into this season. You know, especially with 2 former Divi captains being on this team, with Lil Thicky and Crazy Ike. Lil Thicky obviously coming off of a championship winning season. So I think they've been able to take down teams like Blitz, but unfortunately, fortunately for them, they do still have a game against Lethal Shooters, and I know for a fact that all these teams in Division D are looking to, you know, take down that Titan team. So, of the teams left to face Lethal Shooters, I think this ABOS team has some of the highest chances to do that.
I mean, I've heard stories from my roommate about Crazy Ike. He's just kind of crazy on the ground, and definitely a great pickup from Lil Thicky, who I know he wanted Porter the Great, his old teammate. Something snatched him right up beforehand, but I don't think Crazy Ike is a bad substitute whatsoever. Even having a pretty good season himself, and so I'm looking forward to seeing what this team can do. I think they also have some pretty good potential.
Yeah, no, for sure. I just realized I was kind of cutting off some of the stats there on demo per game. I do apologize. But let's go ahead and move on to probably one of the fan favorites, I would say, of 2 Jits, 1 Unk. One of the teams that a lot of people have been looking forward to. This team, led by Chemic19, asked a lot on the channel. Then you got Porter the Great, aka PTG, former Division E champion and MVP. and then Hip Dusty as well. I think, again, this is another team that some people were unsure about coming into this season, right? You know, Chemic gets that call up. He's been grinding in the offseason. We weren't too sure where to put him. He does get that captain spot, and I think a lot of people were a little bit, you know, uncertain on the success of this team, but it looks like they've been doing all right. You know, 3-3, completely even on the season at 50% winning percentage. But all in all, Chemic has been living up to those expectations. He's really been the spearhead for this team offensively. Third in the division in goals per game, as well as goal participation and shots per game. In my opinion, you know, PTG coming off that MVP season, he's looking okay, but I think we haven't seen his peak, especially at least stats wise. And I'm also kind of going off some of the season or the games that or series that I've seen. I don't think he's exactly, you know, I think he's playing his role, but I think we could see more. And I think that's going to kind of be one of the it factors for this team. You know, especially considering he was the MVP, had played so well on LAN. I don't think we've quite seen him play like that, like we've seen him on LAN. And if he can, I think this 2Jits 1-unk team can really pop off.
I think you mentioned that he's been playing his role. I think he's been stuck in his role. I feel like he's been trying to play too defensive, like thinking himself as a defensive mastermind. I think personally, I think he's been a little bit too stuck in that role. But I got a question for you.
Yep.
How many games per series do you think 2Jits 1-unk has? 3Jits. How many games do you think they play per series on average?
How many games?
3-3, 50%.
How many games do I think they play on average? Probably, dude. They must have go to a lot of game 5s. Now I'm thinking about it.
Only game 3s. I swear to God. Only game 3s.
What?
Yep. Yep.
So
they've either been swept or sweeping.
Let me go look at this.
I'll put it on everything I love.
Yeah, they get 3-0 swept by Granny Shifters. Then they 3-0 sweep Elite Egoist. They get swept by ABOS. Sweep Rocket Rangers. Sweep Winners POV, which is cool. And then, wow, only game 3s. That's actually insane. And especially
such
being
an anomaly.
Especially being 50% too. You'd think that if it was all sweeps.
I think it's a lot of close games.
That's just insane. That's definitely an anomaly. That's a fun stat line right there. These guys just
I was waiting to say that
cannot.
one.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, they should try to knock it down to 2, says Gray Skull. True. Yeah, they should. That'd be great. Moving on, let's keep going. We have Granny Shifters, who has been a very interesting team, a weird one to say the least. This team, the standout stat line here, they are the only team to give Lethal Shooters their only loss. This Granny Shifters team, consisting of Dr. Bepper, EKD Yeet, and It's Enigma. So again, weird team. They only have 2 wins. They're under 50% on the winning percentage, but yet they're the only team to take down the Titan of Division D. Is that just an off day for Lethal Shooters? Or was it like a very on day for Granny Shifters? The world may never know, but again, the fact that they're taking down this Titan while also losing series to like Singularity at the same time, a little insane to me. And so maybe for this team, it might be one of those consistency things as we go. They're also the lowest in the division in goals per game, so not able to find a lot of offensive pressure, it seems like, for this Granny Shifters team. With that being said, I do want to give a quick shout out to Enigma, who actually leads his team in goal participation as that second pick on his team, which is also kind of an anomaly for the team.
Yeah, that's a good job for an Enigma, but I think this team is just kind of getting too stuck on defense as a whole. I know Dr. Bepper, I know he's played a lot with Tech 7 and kind of takes after him, the self-proclaimed best Div C defender. Well, I guess now it's like medically insignificant Div B defender or something like that. Anyways, Dr. Bepper plays super defensive. As that captain, I feel like you gotta play a little bit aggressive at least and try to get that to work.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think just looking at the stats, like you said, I think I think it's okay to look at Dr. Pepper as that captain of the team and go, I think it's time where you got to start just kind of going for, some ego challenges, just kind of trying to lead your team a little bit more when it comes to offense. Because like I said, right now, you got the lowest goals per game. This is a team that has to change something. Don't know exactly what it is because obviously they've found success against Lethal Shooters, the Titan of Div D. But I don't know what it is, but they're gonna have to try and change something up for the rest of the season here. But moving on, we do have Rocket Rangers, another very interesting team. The captain of this team, a man by the name of Rhino, is another player having, in what I would consider stat-wise, an MVP caliber season so far. Let's see, he's got Rhino is second in goals per game, fourth in shooting percentage, and fourth in goal participation in all of Division D. So it seems like this, for me, this is a kind of a one-man show. Like I said, you got Rhino at 1.08 goals per game. Pumpkinhead, he's been doing good at 0.7 goals per game. And then
twisted.
So I can't get that twisted. Pumpkinhead's been doing great as well. But there's a little bit of a fall off when it comes to the third man there. Not to call him out. But I'm looking at the stats and 11% shooting percentage, 30% goal participation. I think I've seen this team play, and I don't think the stats tell the true story about this team. This is one of the teams that I've been keeping my eye on, and I don't think the stats tell a story. This team has the potential to take this, later into the playoffs.
Yeah, I honestly can't say I've seen much of this team, more so much of Div D. I've watched a good bit of my roommate's team, two Jits, one Unk. Other than that, I haven't really watched too much, but just looking at the stats, yeah, I mean, Rhino's having a great season himself. It's just unfortunate. They maybe switch things up for Talon Ball, get him rolling. I'm sure he can be a good player. It's just he hasn't really found his stride quite yet.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, we've seen players that are a little bit newer to Rocket League find a position. Sometimes that's just go get demos, go do something. But we've had players find spots like that. And I like Pumpkinhead said, I'm sure he's had some amazing spots and some amazing goals. Just gonna be how do we utilize all three players, because as we all know, it's a team game and all three players need to be firing and finding some sort of spot to find some success. And I do believe that this team can do just that. So we'll see how that goes for the season. Moving onwards, we do have the 9th seed of Singularity, which is a team made up of Vortex Gamer, Elite Upgrade, and 3it. Another team that unfortunately has just not quite found the success they're looking for. They're all three players are kind of around that 50% mark in goal participation, so pretty even across the board when it comes to stats. Similar, goals per game, but actually have one of the lowest, where is it? I remember this. Lowest save percentages in the division. So they're giving up a lot of goals. A lot of the shots that are, going against their net are finding its way in. So for me, that kind of seems like it might be more of a defensive structure issue for this team. If they can start to figure out how to rotate correctly or whatever it may be defensively, I think this team can start finding some success.
Yeah, but I definitely no mean to, calling out Elite Upgrade here. He's the only player I know really on this team because he was on my roommate's team last season. But I remember they kind of had some struggles with Elite Upgrade, not wanting to rotate back, kind of cherry picking at times or playing super aggressive, offensively. I haven't seen them play personally, so I can't say that is the problem. But as you mentioned, the lowest save percentage is kind of lining up for it to be that. It's a team game at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think, again, it's another one of those teams similar to Rocket Rangers that I think they have the pieces. It's just kind of how can they lock in come playoffs here to start winning some games here. And then last in the division is Elite Egoists, going 1-5 on the season so far. Fairly low winning. Egoista. Fairly low winning percentage here at 26%. But in regards to that, the captain of this team, Big Alien, has been also having a very amazing season stats wise. This team, like I said, consisting of Big Alien Boy, The Last Supper 7, and Springtrap. Big Alien is fifth in goals per game, stays per game, third in shots per game, and second in the division in goal participation. So he's really doing quite a bit on this team. I think if Last Supper and Springtrap can start to find some way to support Alien a little bit more offensively, maybe defensively, no matter what it is, it's kind of a similar story to a couple of these other teams where if they can figure out how to get a couple more of these players involved a little bit more, I think they can start finding some success.
Yeah, I mean, stole the words out of my mouth again, but it's just like Last Supper and Springtrap are getting like one shot per game. It's just like maybe if one of your players are getting a shot per game, maybe it's a strategy, kind of have them play more defensive. But if there's only two people getting a shot per game, it's kind of telling the story that you're only setting one person up on offense while two people are sitting back on defense, and it's so hard to get like break through a defense with just one person, not like a second man there to fly us on a pass or a missed touch or a miss, anything like that.
Yeah, and there's lots of ways you can get involved, right? Having a player go disrupt rather than take shots, or there's multiple ways that you can go about it. I think if elite egoists can find that out, I think like every other team in every division, they can really pull it together and make something happen in playoffs. But with that being said, that's every team. Just kind of wanted to gloss over a lot of these teams. A lot of these teams, have some very good, looks so far. And others not yet, but there's still 3 weeks left in the regular season to make something happen. But with every division, I think Yellow Dog and I are going to give a couple shout outs to a team that might have a glow up before or might start popping off, have a turnaround of their season, and then a team that might fall off a little bit for the rest of the season. So before we go to Div C, let's go ahead and do that. Yellow Dog, what's going to be your two teams in that category?
My team for glow up, they're gonna start doing and performing a bit better. Maybe a little bit biased. I think 2Jits 1 Unk have finally started to find their stride and kind of how they work around each other. I don't think it's gonna continue with only sweeps, win or loss. That'd be insane if they even had like 2 more sweeps in a game 4 or 5. But I think they can end the season. I think they can end 6. I think they can win out. They've already played against lethal shooters, so they don't have that obstacle in the way really. So I think they could have a glow up, and then that's from a team that can really come back and make it, make their season come back a bit better. I got faith in the last place team, Elite Egoist. I think they can figure it out. I think they can win. I think they can win 2 more and end the season 3 and 6.
Won't be a bad spot.
I mean, coming from 1 and 5, that is a glow up in my eyes. Winning 2 games out of the last 3.
Yeah, that'd be big. That'd be big. The team that I see having a maybe could start falling down a little bit. And again, I'm not trying to do too many shoutouts here or clown on.
I did 2 the same thing.
Oops. There we go.
I did 2 the same thing. I just realized. Whoops.
No, that's fine.
Oh well, everyone's gonna improve. That's what I meant.
My choice. I'm gonna go with. I have a feeling. Winners POV. They've lost a couple series to a couple of the lower seeded teams currently. That's gonna be my prediction for a team that might fall down a little bit. I could see them being around that number 6, number 5 spot. But I'm not too convinced of them being at that spot just because I've seen them lose a couple series to some of the lower seeded teams. So I'm predicting winner POV to fall down a little bit. And then the team that I have some faith in is going to be Rocket Rangers with Rhino and Pumpkinhead and Talonball. That's going to be the team that I can see doing it. Rhino's obviously been having a very good season so far. He's been proving himself. Pumpkin's been doing his job as that first pick on that team. I think if Talonball can start getting involved a little bit more offensively, whether it's finding demos, whether it's teaching him some rotations, whatever it may be, I think this Rocket Rangers can do it. They got a top tier caliber player in Rhino. They got a great supporting player, you know, doing his job very, very well in Pumpkinhead. I think this Rocket Rangers team can start to improve it, at least go even on the season. But we'll see. We'll see if my prediction rings true. Lethal Shooters, I predict them to stay at the top. I'm not going to get that messed up, but I do think Rocket Rangers can be a team to step up a little bit. But.
It's a good shout. Also, shout out Rhino. I don't know if anyone else in Div C is, but I know Rhino just recently got the champ.
Dang.
So I think he might be one. Div D. Did I say C?
Yeah, yes, it's C.
Whatever. Div D. He might be one of one, or maybe one of two, one of three. But he, you know, he's up there in ranks. So shout out Rhino for getting that last season. Buzzer beater rank up.
All right, that took longer than I thought. I was expecting to spend like 5-10 minutes on each division here, but let's go ahead. That's going to be Division D. Those are some of our predictions here. Kind of gave you an update on some of these teams, but let's go ahead and move on to now Division C. And for this one, I say let's start at the bottom this time, Yellow Dog. Let's work our way up this time. So let's go ahead and start with a team called Hey with Riz. A team that obviously not finding great success, starting 1-5 on the season. Pretty low winning percentage, quite a few 3-0 sweeps going their way. I've seen a couple of their series on stream, and it feels like just straight up distraught, right? You see the looks on their faces. They're not having a good time right now. It's a team that is consisting of, let's see here, of Oreo Man, and who else is it?
Tater Tot and Robo.
Tater Tot and Real Robo. Again, Oreo Man's has found success before. Real Robo, he's a champion in his own right. It's just they haven't found that clicking moment. One standout thing for me is it feels like we've seen Tater Tot. He's made LAN. He was probably the favorite to win on what team was that last semester?
Unlimited Aura.
Unlimited Aura. He played extremely well. Not finding great success this season. 0.33 goals per game. Pretty low shooting percentage at 22. Definitely not playing to the caliber that we know he can play to. So I think this team is just struggling to find their rhythm so far.
Yeah, and speaking of Tater Tot, something I want to bring up. I don't know if he still has this type of setup or not, but what he told me, because he stopped by the LAN house, the LAN Airbnb that we had for nights, and he said he played a good like 10-15 feet back, or like a good bit back, and to the side, like diagonal from his screen. He's got like
that's just like his setup.
That's to say, he plays on Xbox, I believe. And he's like 10 feet away, like diagonal, like he's not even straight on with it. he's got quite the setup. So anyone flaming me in the past about my setup playing on a TV and PlayStation, it could get worse.
That's insane. That's absolutely insane. But anyways, moving on. We do have Spaced Out 2.0. The only returning team. We've had a couple of them in DCRL history, but Spaced Out 2.0, they're 2.0 for a reason. Pat Down, Paco J, and Drewski team up yet again here this season. Everybody thought they were going to be super good, including myself, right? We thought they were going to be winning a lot of games, finding themselves up at the top of the division. But here we are, 6 weeks in, 6 series in. Unfortunately, they're 1-5 so far. But that aside, they do have a 40% winning percentage still, which is something I want to touch on before we go on the rest of the teams, is how competitive this Division C really is. By far, the most competitive division in all of DCRL so far. Apart from the number 10 seed, unfortunately, they're a little bit lower. When you look at number 9 seed and up, there is only like a 17 to 20% difference from the lowest winning percentage to the top. That is insane. Every team truly has a chance here in Division C. And so for Spaced Out, I see a 40% winning percentage going 1-5. I don't understand how this team is 1-5. I don't think that speaks to the potential of this team at all. I do think that they have a chance to win out the rest of the season. If not, have a really good chance and have a good chance in playoff.
Well, like they came in with, already the chemistry from the entirety of last season. That's not to be understated here. Like you have an entire season of experience. Granted, I think they all go up a division here. One less division, but still go up a little bit.
Yep.
Maybe pat down reached a little bit for Paco and Drewski just for the team chem. But they already had that going, and I got faith in this team turning around. Pat down has been cooking. He's a very solid player. And he's got, a pretty solid supporting cast with him, even though he did reach a little bit. I think that's still pretty solid.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm just kind of looking. We got Game 5 in Week 1, Game 4 in Week 2, Game 4 in Week 3, Game 5 Week 4, Game 5 Game 4 Week 5. A lot of Game 4s and Game 5s for this spaced out team, and then they obviously have a 3-0 sweep against Hayworth Riz. So again, that 40% winning percentage is a telltale sign about what this team is truly capable of, and I fully expect them to get at least one, if not two more wins going into this rest of the regular season. Moving on, we do have a team by the name of Triple Threat. Now, this is a team that, if you watched the first couple weeks of Dcrl, I was kind of blown away by this team, this Triple Threat team. Looking at the schedule, they had a crazy series against Spaced Out 2.0 that went to 5. I think that was a very close series. Unfortunately, I don't know if they were on stream week 2. Maybe they were, but they get 3-0 swept by Silver Leveling in week 2. I believe they had another pretty crazy series. I think it was their series against Lost Souls, in which they won 3-1. I thought this team was the real deal. And they've the series that I've seen, they've looked very, very good. This team consisting of JD, Bones, and Lone Isa. In fact, I'm pretty sure I might have chosen this team as a dark horse in the preseason, draft stream or whatever. This team has potential. JD is having a very standout season, playing very, very well. But unfortunately, I'm looking at stats, and Bones and Lone Isa, unfortunately, not producing a lot on offense. JD is leading the division in goal participation at 78%. And then you look down at Bones and Lone Isa, which Bones, probably arguably one of the best players in Division D last semester. And Lone Isa, kind of that veteran experience on this team. Both of them are around that 0.3 goals per game mark, and that 40% goal participation mark. I think if those two can start finding their rhythm, this Triple Threat team is truly gonna be a threat.
Yeah, so I got something for you on this team for JD. So not only is he leading his team in goals, he's leading his team in assists. So he's leading the division in goal participation, but he's also leading not only his team in saves, but the division in saves. So he's leading in goal participation and saves.
Holy cow, you're right. I didn't even see that.
My God, JD is having a season for himself.
Wow.
I mean, that's insane. I don't think I've
both
seen
sides. Bro's playing for both teams, right? Both swinging on both
like,
sides of the play here.
Is he secretly doing the fast rotate tech where you just respawn to get the saves?
He really might be. Yeah, I mean, I knew that he was having a great season, being involved in so many goals, and then obviously doing a lot saves per game too. I mean, standout saves per game too, right? Moss Toes is second at 1.48, and then JD is at 1.96, almost 0.5 saves per game more than the second place guy. And then he also finds himself at 10th in goals per game. So very good season so far for JD. I think if we see the bones from last semester, and if we see Lone Isa start to find some more, some more offensive pressure here, this team can truly make a comeback here. But we'll see if they can do that. I know JD's in the chat right now, and we'll see if they can come through. But let's move on. Let's go to Lost Souls now, who has a very interesting team, to say the least. Let's go ahead and touch on it now. The first pick of this team is a rookie by the name of Troutfan271511. This man has been making strides. One of these steals, I wouldn't say the number one steal of the draft because we'll get there eventually, but probably the second steal of the draft for this team. He is 6th in the division, leading his team in goals per game at 0.96. He is number 1 per game, or not one, number 1 in the division for shots per game. He is, at one point, he was leading the division in assists per game. This man is doing a lot on offense. And if you've ever watched a stream with this Lost Souls team, you'll know that this is one of the most pass-heavy teams that I've ever seen. I know that their assists per game isn't exactly showing that, but you can see the ideas. I haven't seen a Division C team go for these passing plays. This Lost Souls team, consisting of Turner, Troutfan, and Futago, is a lot of fun to watch.
I might have to peep game next time I see them on. I love watching me some pass heavy offense, especially like in Division C. It's so rare. You maybe see a couple intentional passes per game. But you know, if they're going for these passes as much as you say they are, they're looking for each other. Looks like they're looking for these passes. They trust each other. So I could definitely see this team turning it around second half of the season.
Yeah, and it's not like they're out of the race, right? They're 3-3 on the season, above that 50% mark. They're at 52, with the number 1 winning percentage of bye week at 61. That's 9% behind. This, even though they're the 7th seed by technicality, it's going to be really anybody's game here in Division C, which is something I'm probably going to say about 5 times. But go ahead and move on now for Silver Leveling, another team that's 3-3 on the season. Just 0.38% higher than the number 7 seed of Lost Souls at 52.38. This team, led by the myth, the legend, Tyler 8G. Joined by Mr. Miko and Moss Toes. A lot of people, thought that Tyler should have been Div B, and I think he himself has expressed that he wasn't really expecting to go down to Division C. A lot of people were expecting that, or weren't expecting that, but he has been having himself a season, I think, proving that he could have and maybe should have went to Division B, right behind Indisposed, as at number 2 in goals per game at 1.1, 10th in shooting percentage, way up there, 2nd in shots per game. This man is doing a lot on offense, and having himself a great season. One of the standout stats players here for the team. And then, like I said, one of the storylines that I kind of talked about was, it seems like this is one of those role position teams, right? You got Tyler 8G maybe being, either a second man, maybe a third man, slotting some of these shots. Moss Toe is actually 2nd on the team over Mr. Miko in goals per game, but Mr. Miko is leading the team in assists per game. So it seems like kind of one of those role players where Mr. Miko might be, finding some of those playmaking opportunities, getting that ball in the middle of the field for Tyler 8G or Moss Toes. But again, this is one of those teams where they just gotta click on a certain day, because that's just how competitive Division C is. If you're slacking off at all, a series could or couldn't go your way. So again, I think this is just gonna be a consistency thing. Tyler knows this about himself too individually, because actually Silver Leveling is the only team to give Crossbar Kings their loss this season. But at the same time,
They swept them.
They swept them. But at the same time, even though they did that, they lost to the bottom seed and gave Hey with Riz their only win on the season. So it's definitely gonna be a consistency thing for the Silver Leveling team.
No, for sure. Like, I have a lot of praise for all these players. Obviously, I know Tyler pretty well. He's been doing super well this season. Miko, I played with him before. Super consistent. I love the way he plays. And Moss Toes was by far I mean, the best Div E player last season.
Yep.
I don't even think it's genuinely close whatsoever. He was popping off in Div E, makes the big jump all the way up to Div C. He's been doing his job. He's been doing a lot for this team. I'm surprised he's playing that super defensive role, honestly, because he's a shooter. I'm not gonna lie, he's a shooter. But maybe that third man is what they need.
He's a shooter.
He's been doing it pretty well.
Great shootout. Let's go ahead and move on now to Bad Wi-Fi. One of my favorite teams in Division C, if I must say so myself. A team consisting of Dcrl, Mountain Dew Fridge, and Go Time. Dcrl, ever since coming into the league last semester, has been one of my favorite players to watch. He played very well. I think a couple people kind of started to get him on their radar, but I think this season he's really, starting to, turn some heads. Sitting at exactly 1 goal per game for him, 3rd in the division, and then Mountain Dew Fridge making his return to Dcrl. Unfortunately, he couldn't play last semester. Makes his return. He's been playing insane this semester. I remember watching or casting a series, maybe with you, Yellow Dog. I don't remember, but he was playing lights out. He is let's see. I think he what was it? Kind of struggling here. He was leading. He was leading something. I mean,
assists.
Was it assists?
Yep, it is.
Oh, he's third. He's third in assists per game at 0.68, and then he's also third in saves per game. But
who's got higher? I'm looking at the stats right now.
Assists, pat down.
Oh, okay. We'll get there.
We'll get there. But yeah, Mountain Dew Fridge was playing super well. Had a very good series in a series that I seen. I think that Dcrl Mountain Dew Fridge combo paired with what is it? Go Time. I think this team can be a lot of fun. Fun fact: Go Time is actually leading the division in shooting percentage at 45%, which is pretty crazy. But in contrast to that, he has the lowest shots per game. So
there you go.
He's got the highest shooting percentage, but he's not taking a lot of shots. He's picking and choosing when he's taking those shots. But when he does, they're going in.
It kind of reminds me of Mitch a little bit. I don't know if he's got. I mean, we'll get to it later. I don't know if he's got a lot of shots or not, but I know he's pretty far up there in percentage.
Okay. But yeah, this Bad Wi-Fi team, definitely one of my favorite teams to watch. We'll see if they can have some success here, as they're 3-3, right at that 53% winning percentage mark. Let's go ahead and move on to Disoriented, which has been another team that's been super fun to watch, finding themselves at 4-2. And then a little bit of a jump here, 3% higher than the number 5 seed at 56%. This is a team led by a rookie named Indisposed, who has been having himself a MVP caliber season here. 1.12 goals per game, shooting percentage just under that Go Time mark at 41%. I believe that puts him at number 2. Yes, it does. He has just been playing super well. Also at 6th in saves per game. This is by far, if you just look at stats only, Indisposed has been the MVP so far of Div C. And it has probably been a huge reason why they find themselves at the current number 4 seed. They've been playing absolutely fantastic, and he is joined by Lemojewel and It's Me Ender. One fun fact that I do have is that the combo of Indisposed and Lemojewel is the highest goals per game average between any other duo in Div C. So you got 1.12 plus 0.88. That puts them exactly at, I believe, that should put at 2 goals per game between the two of them. And that's the highest duo in the division. So those two together have been combining for a lot of goals. And it's been coming through hard. Pause.
Whoa. I remember in the draft stream though, Lemojewel had a lot of praise for Indisposed. Lemojewel sounded pretty confident in his team, and especially Indisposed. If I remember correctly, I believe he said Indisposed already had some sort of competitive Rocket League experience before this, so he might be a rookie here, but I believe he has some competitive Rocket League background.
Interesting. We'll have to get some background information on that. Maybe Lemojewel can confirm. Can fact check that in the chat there.
He's got to be in chat. Oh
yeah, he's correct. We're correct.
Right. Yep. I mean, come on.
You might be the GOAT here, Yellow Dog.
Are we surprised?
Yes.
Whoa.
All right, let's move on. Number 3 seed of Jumbo Nut, just 1.14% higher than the number 4 seed at 57.14. This is a team that I don't think a lot of people were expecting to be at the number 3 spot. With all respect, I don't think a lot of people were expecting it. But I'm super happy to see them at that number 3 spot because it's 3 players that have history in DCRL. It's been a lot of fun to watch. Made of Grayskull, Photonut, and Jumbo Kid. For me, Jumbo Kid has been a standout player. Has been a very standout player this season. If you look at the goals per game, he is 9th in the division, leading his team at 0.86 goals per game. This is a very, very well-rounded team. You know, all the players at above 0.6 goals per game, with Grayskull just being just under Jumbo Kid at 0.79. But then the last standout stat here is the demos per game that we know Grayskull so well for. 3.13 demos per game coming from the captain of this team, Grayskull. That is almost double the second most demoed per game with Paco at 1.8. This guy, we know when you go against this guy, you know what you're gonna get. It's just a matter of can you avoid it.
You can't. Dude, my first time playing against him a couple seasons ago, it was the first kickoff of the first match, and I'm cheating up and he instantly demos me. It's just how, like, he is the demo guy. And I'm honestly surprised that he's been keeping up with these demos per game as the captain. I thought maybe he would kind of fall back a little bit on the demos and focus more on just solid rotations. But I honestly love that he's just sticking with his game plan, sticking with what he knows, you know, with what works for him. I love that.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's been a lot of fun to see that team. I've been enjoying watching it, and I've been super impressed with Jumbo Kid. And I still don't know if he's learned how to use ball cam yet, but
Is that the guy who did that?
yeah.
I don't know who. I always forget who it is.
Grayskull,
Sometimes
can you
I think it's
confirm
like
or
Doc.
can you confirm or deny that, Grayskull? Has he learned how to use ball cam yet, or is he still? Maybe he just doesn't talk about it. Maybe it's embarrassing for him, but I don't know. But he's been having this team has been finding success in many ways. He has not.
He is not.
Oh my god. 3rd in the division, 9th in goals per game without ball cam. That is just absolutely.
This she just wants to be like a Sunless Con video. This guy got the GC3 with no ball cam.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun. But okay, let's go on to the number 2 seed. And for me, this has been the craziest team for me to see them at the number 2 seed with bye week. This team consisting of JD Bauer Power, I'm Him, and Golden Draken. Draken, I don't know how you say it, but dude, I did not expect this team to have the highest winning percentage in their division, you know, 5-6 series into the season. We know that JD Bauer has what it takes to win. I think he was a sub for a team in season 3 and won with that team the championship. So kind of a half and half champion there. We know that he knows how to win. I'm Him as a champion of his own. Last semester we saw him with ball chasing, and then Golden Draken has been. I casted one series of his, I believe last week or the week before, and he was the mechiest guy on the field. And I think he was one of those players that kind of went under the radar for the most part in his previous seasons. But I think he's starting. I think he could be starting to turn some heads this season.
Well, and I don't know. I haven't personally seen them, but I know that. So I was on a team with JD Bauer Power last season, and when he's playing confident, he is such a good shooter. Like he can put the ball in the net a lot in a single series if he's playing confident, and it looks like that he's been playing confident in most, if not all, of the series so far, with almost a goal per game, shooting 35%.
Yep.
So he's been playing out of his mind so far with Golden Draken. I don't know. Leading. I don't know if you mentioned this. He is leading the division in assists. So.
Yep.
That's a good combo right there.
That's why I was saying he was about to turn some heads, because he was diming up JD Bauer Power in that last season, or that last series, and leading the division in assists per game. So this team has the pieces. They really do. And when I watched them play, they were looking very, very good. So this bye week team is gonna be, in my opinion, one of the teams to beat, even though they've got a couple losses on their season. I think Yeah, so they lost week 1 to Crossbar Kings, the current #1 seed. And then let's see here. And then they also lost to Jumbo Nut. So they've lost to the #1 and #3 seeds, which actually is a little bit scary, right? Because you know, if their only losses are to those teams, both of them were game 5s though. So, you know, they brought them they're bringing these top tier teams to you know, game 5s, but if you can't close out the series, especially when it comes to playoffs, it's gonna be rough. So bye week, I'm sure they got a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, knowing they lost to the top teams, only able to beat some of these, you know, teams that are ranked a little bit lower than them. So I'm looking for bye week to be able to close out those high impact series. But let's go ahead and move on to the last one here. The #1 seed of Division C, the most competitive division, is going to be Crossbar Kings. A team consisting of rookie Dracula, It's Frosty Nick, and Wheat. I gotta toss it over to what people probably aren't aware of is the steal of the entire Division C draft in Wheat. Second pick of his team at leading his team in goals per game at 1 and at 40% winning percentage. This guy has been playing quite literally out of his mind in his returning season. Yellow Dog, he was your teammate in your first season of DCRL. I don't know if he didn't play for 1 or 2 seasons, but he's come back and he's come back with some fire.
This is my 3rd, so he you know, yeah, he came out. He not left last season, but sat out for a season. The season before that, when he was on my team, I was honestly like impressed by his shooting, and it's been showing so far. He's very similar to JD Power, I believe. Having played with both of them, but when they're playing confident, they can both just put a ton of goals in the back of the net, or balls in the back of the nets. He's been going off with the goals per game, but his teammates are not too far behind.
Yeah, with you got to give credit to Dracula and It's Frosty Nick as well. Dracula, his first season in DCRL at 0.88 goals per game, shooting lights out at 35% as well. And then It's Frosty Nick also shooting at 0.8 goals per game. This is by far the most goals per game for any team in Division C. You can see at 2.69 goals per game. It's really only Disoriented who are coming a little close to them at 2.44. All 3 of these members very involved in the goal participation, very even, nobody above 60%. So again, very well-rounded team, but not only are they well-rounded, all 3 players are top tier Division C players. So this Crossbar Kings team, just looking at stats, looking very very dangerous. But with that said, they also, drop in a series to silver leveling. Could be a sign of maybe some consistency issues or something like that. But maybe it's just a bad day. Everybody's got their bad days, but just something to kind of pay attention to as we go into playoffs.
Sure. Well, I suppose that wraps up, huh? So we'll
give our little takes here.
Whatever it's called. Yeah. All right. For my team that I got that's gonna pop off in these last 3 weeks, I don't even think this is bias. I think silver leveling can end the season 6-3. I think they can win out.
Jeez.
I'll give some insight here. I personally drafted this team for Tyler because he had he didn't really pay attention at all, and he was like, "Dude, who do I even draft?" I'm looking at the draft board. I'm like, if you can get Miko and Mostos, that's perfect. That is the perfect draft for you. And he got both of them. So he's been pretty excited about his team, I know. I'm excited that he got both those players. I think they're super well-rounded. You mentioned that they're kind of position-based almost. But, no, I think they can do great. And then as for the team that I think might have a bit of a fall-off, I hate to say it, I'm going to switch it up. I think Jumbo Nut could go down a little bit. I'm not sure who all they've played against. But it's really hit or miss with the demo playstyle of Grayskull. I feel it can work really well sometimes, but it can also bite his team in the butt.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm gonna. That's what I was also gonna say. If I'm being honest, I know Grayskull's in the chat right now. I know. I mean, Jumbo Kid. I mean, it's hard to argue against it through what 5 or 6 series. You know that Jumbo Kid is at 0.86 goals per game. I just don't think anybody. I wasn't expecting that, and it was a. I don't know if that playstyle, like you said is something that you can keep up, especially going into playoffs after a whole season. When you play like that, especially because you only play every team once, right? Once you play them again, they're gonna know what to expect, right? And that playstyle is, in my opinion, pretty dependent on that surprise factor of like not really knowing what's coming for you until it's too late. And so that's kind of my prediction. I know they've had, a pretty hard schedule so far, but that's kind of my prediction. They might fall down a little bit, but with that being said, if these teams cannot avoid Grayskull's demos, this Jumbo Nut team can still pop off and do something come playoffs. So, my team that I'm gonna choose to pop off is I'm gonna go with Triple Threat. I'm gonna go with like the severe underdog story here. They're technically
severe is crazy.
They're technically almost the lowest winning percentage so far, but I've seen this team play, and I know their captain JD. Some things that one thing that some teams don't really have is like that energy and like that pop off ability aspect of it. And if you've watched the Triple Threat series, JD is very animated in the cams. He's rarely hype. And I think if this team can make it far enough, as far as going to LAN, that energy can help you out so much. And that like playing on LAN is a different thing, whole different aspect. And so I think if Triple Threat can get their stuff together, if Bones can start playing like we saw him last semester, I think this Triple Threat team can at least go even on the season before playoffs. But that's my those are going to be my predictions. Hopefully we'll see how things roll out for the rest of Division C. But with that being said, go ahead and now move on to Division B. One of the most what do you want to call it?
Amazing.
What do you want to call it? I don't know if I'd call it amazing.
Top heavy, hit or miss, 50-50. Either good or bad.
Yeah, I was gonna say like drama filled. That's what I was gonna say. A lot of
okay.
And it might be because of this guy that's sitting right next to me right now. I'm not too sure though, but but yeah, Division B has been.
What did I do?
Division B has been a lot of fun to watch, especially when it's some of these higher seeded teams playing against each other. It does get pretty competitive towards the top, but there's a pretty big fall off as we go down towards the bottom of the division. Been a lot of fun to watch, but let's go ahead and start at the bottom with number 10 seed of Division A Wannabes, the only team so far, I believe. Okay, no, there's one team in Division A as well that hasn't been able to find a win here this season of Division of DCRL. Very unfortunate series of events for them. Not to knock any of the players on Division A Wannabes, but I do know that Creed did kind of reach for some of his picks. Obviously, that's not to say that that we didn't rank them correctly or stuff like that, because maybe that was part of the aspect too. But I think Creed kind of took a little bit of a gamble coming into this one, and so far it just really has not been paying off. 10% winning percentage, only a goal per game. This team just hasn't clicked. That's the end of the story. They have not found what it takes to win games. Not gonna say it's impossible, but I'd imagine that their mental's pretty low coming into this spring break. So maybe this week it was a good reset, and maybe they can come back and win some games.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure. I'm not looking at quite yet, but I'm pretty sure Creed is leading the division in goal participation. Take that as you will, I guess.
He is.
I mean, whatever. And then it's tough because they're not really putting many in the back of the net, but you know, he's doing all he can for this team. I've seen them play on stream a couple times. It looks like it's just a one-man show. Creed, and then, you know, a couple decoys or something. I don't know. Like, Creed just kind of seems to be doing everything. I know Kier, at least I've kind of seen in the cams, he looks like more of an emotional player. Like he's got some pretty high highs if he's doing well in his team, but he gets pretty down on himself and his team if they're not doing well. And it just kind of seems like it's been snowballing so far.
I think that's a good way to put it, is like the snowballing effect. You know, they might have had some high hopes, you know, coming in the first couple of weeks, but as that realization starts to set in, it snowballs and it gets worse and worse, right? So hopefully this week, you know, they can reset, come back, and like I said, maybe win some Rocket League games for the last 3 weeks. But let's move on to Whiff City here, a team 1-4 so far. I believe their only win was week 1, where they started off pretty hot on a win against Lobotomy. 30% on the season so far, and yet again another team that just hasn't pieced it together yet. If you look at all 3 players on this team, you got Krill, a former Division A member, Raptor, and then Omega Blaze. And one of the craziest, you know, pickups for this team. I mean, I was fully expecting this team to be very, very good coming into this season, especially considering Omega Blaze falls as low as he does, which was criminal. But unfortunately, they just haven't been able to piece it together here. One thing I will mention about this team that I would like to say is that Omega Blaze is actually 3rd in the division for goal participation on this while being on this team, completely proving all the captains wrong here. I would call him, with that stat alone, pretty much one of the main steals of the draft, just because he should not have fallen that low.
No, and thing is, like, this is a completely reasonable team for Krill to get. If it was just like auto drafted, it would just be flipped. He reached on Raptor almost like 10 spots, and then got Omega Blaze 10 spots past where he should have been able to get him. It's so weird. But honestly, Krill the captain, I think I mentioned it in the draft stream. He's such a wild card, as a person, as a player, and he's not really had the greatest season. In my eyes, I think he's been the most disappointing, put it brutal, I guess, for lack of a better term. He's shooting 17%. Just maybe not the start he quite wanted. Maybe he thought he could just outspeed everyone in Div B. He drops down from Div A. But we like that. You can't just do that. Lock in Krill.
Yeah. Moving on, we have a team named Assisted Living, 1-5 on the season so far. Team consisting of X Dusty, Rooney, and Fan is Legendary. Now, this is a team that I have been paying very close attention to. You know, I got a buddy in Rooney, known him for a really long time. This is his last season, and is it Dusty's too?
All their last seasons, all of them.
3
That's
of
why
them.
they're Assisted Living. They're all.
That is true. Oh,
they're all senior.
Yeah, I forgot about that. So yeah, all 3 members. This is their last season of Dcrl, hence the name Assisted Living.
The Last Dance.
Looking through, that would have been a fire name. They're looking to end their season off with a bang. Fortunately, they're getting blown out by the youngins, to say the least. I think a lot of people, I think you and I have talked about this. We expected this team to be nasty. We expected this team to come in and do super well. I think both you and I talked about that in the draft stream. You know, we both were expecting this team to do well. Unfortunately, that's not the case. I've done some replay reviews of this team. They had a lot of game 5s to start off the season. Unfortunately, they've had some more, game 4, game 3s getting swept. That kind of puts them a little bit lower, but I think if they can truly clean up some of those rotations, clean up some of those, core mechanic issues, this Assisted Living team, I think, can make a change and win some of these games for the last half of the regular season.
For sure, like this team is for the most part, just like too consistent of a team to not be performing as well as they really should be. They're 1-5, which I thought coming into this, I wasn't sure who's gonna be the best team, but I had there's no thought in my mind that this team was gonna be a bottom 3 team, record wise. So honestly, it's more of like confusing to me. It's just this team isn't really clicking. There's a lot of double commits on this team. I noticed when I've watched them or played against them. No, I think they can definitely turn this around for the end of the season.
Yep, I do agree. Let's go ahead and move on to Lobotomy now, a team consisting of Fighting Hamster, Salty Steve, and Tech 7. This has been a very interesting team. Fighting Hamster, 2-time champion now. We had enough of sleeping on him, give him this Div B captain spot, and him paired up with Salty Steve and Tech 7 has been an interesting sight to see, to say the least. Their 2 wins, I believe, are against, let's see, Div A Wannabes and Assisted Living. So a team that has yet to prove themselves against some of these, higher seeded teams, but have proved that they can at least, take some of these teams to game 5s. I see a game 5 against Goofy Goobers. I see what else here?
Straw Hats.
I see a game 5 against Straw Hats. Yep. So it's not that this team doesn't have a chance. It's gonna just come down to if they can play better on that day against some of these better teams come playoffs time.
Yeah, and I'm looking at just the team stats here, and I'm honestly super surprised. Tech 7, as I mentioned earlier, the self-proclaimed best Div C defender, gets his call up to Div B, but has the lowest on the team, surprisingly.
For saves per game.
His teammates saves per game. Yeah, by a good margin. So, I don't know, maybe he's not really putting up a lot of shots either. So maybe he's just kind of playing that disruptor role, kind of being where he needs to be. Also, these stats might be a little bit, skewed because he did play a series entirely on KBM because his controller wasn't working. So I'm going to take that in consideration a little bit, but there's 5 other series that he could have,
Yep,
done well in.
Yeah, no, it's a very interesting team. Like I had said, this team composition is interesting to say the least. I know Salty Steve was almost a Division B captain himself.
Oh, he's a shooter though.
He's a shooter, but Tech 7 has a higher shooting percentage still. So,
yeah, but he's not putting up any shots.
Yeah, it goes both ways, right? But the series that I have seen, like you said, Salty Steve is looking like a shooter, just being super, super aggressive. I'm willing to bet if you look at the positioning stats on their series, Salty Steve is always upfield, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because sometimes teams just resort to boomer ball and there's nobody there to follow it up. But if you got a guy cherry picking upfield, sometimes it works out. But let's move on now to the number 6 seed of Sloppy Dogs, one of the 2 dog names here in the division. And I'm sure you're, a couple teams glazing you before the season even starts. This team is consisting of Skay, Real Curly Fries, and Carve Dog. One of the 2 dog names here between you and him. This team, in my opinion, has one of the higher peaks in Division B. I've seen a series. I think it was their series against Assisted Living. They were looking very nasty, specifically Real Curly Fries. You got Skay sitting at a goal per game and Real Curly Fries sitting at a goal per game. Aside from one other duo that I know of, that's probably going to be one of the highest scoring duos in Division B. Skay, unfortunately, hasn't really, I don't think he's made it to LAN yet. He's been playing quite a long time. And I thought that he had a really good chance with this team after seeing a couple of their series.
And even like the series they've lost, they've both been game 5s. They haven't lost a series that hasn't been a game 5.
Oh wow.
They got reverse swept by Fikavit, and then kind of a back and forth battle with Straw Hats in week 3 or 4. So I mean,
anybody's
They've only
game.
lost in game 5s, so this team can be absolutely insane. They can put on a lot of pressure and maintain it. And they're like all around a very, very mechanical team. One of, I would say, probably at least the top 2 team in just like average mechiness across the entire team. Top 2 at least.
Yeah, very, very high ceiling on this team, especially, you got Carve Dog as that second pick. Obviously his stats aren't really showing it, but I mean, he's a GC player. I mean, he's consistently been GC. And so when you got all 3 of these players playing at that level, they're gonna be a scary team to go against. But next we do have Goofy Goobers, who I believe started their season 4-0, if I'm not mistaken. I think
You are correct.
they started 4-0. This team is consisting of Sleepy, Skull, and Steve. I was very impressed with them, seeing that 4-0 record to start things off. And then in their last two weeks here, they've unfortunately lost a couple series. One was against Sloppy Dogs, team we just covered, and then who else did they lose to here? They lost
Untouchable.
Oh yeah, they got 3-0 swept by Untouchables. So they've lost to a couple pretty good teams, but we'll see if they can kind of get back to that winning mentality and get them back up in that top 3 spot.
Yeah, I mean, it's looking like Steve's kind of the main shooter. Actually, I mean, I lied. He's shooting the least amount of shots per game, but by a good margin, the most goals. So Steve's shooting super, super efficient. Definitely a great pick by Sleepy as his second pick, getting 0.92 goals per game efficiently. But honestly, I've watched this team, and even before watching this team and knowing how they play, I could just tell this is gonna be like an annoying team to play against. There's like zooming around the field. Sleepy's known. He's always just stealing boost, going as fast as he can around the field. Occasionally hitting the ball here or there if he feels like it, instead of going for boost. Skull, he likes to demo as well. So I honestly thought that Steve was just gonna be kind of stuck as third man on this team while Sleepy zooms around, Skull goes for demos and disruption. But it seems like they've actually got the rotations down pretty good so far.
Yeah, no, you said it very well. Like you said, Steve is leading his team in goals per game at 0.92. But, I mean, you touched on it. Sleepy, he's known for having the highest speed. But the number 1 and number 2 highest, fastest placed players are on this team. Sleepy is at 1677, whatever the units are. And then Skull is right behind him at 1647. Both of them are just zooming around this field. Like you said, very fast-paced team. And what's also interesting is, like you said, Skull is leading the division in demos per game, and also leading the division in shots per game.
Cosmic.
Nope, Skull's above him by 0.05
Really?
now.
Oh, wow! Barely snatched it.
So he's also leading in shots per game in the entire division. So this team is just all out aggression, just straight up speed. Trying to overwhelm these teams, and it seemed like for the first 4 weeks that might have been working, but coming up to the a couple of the other higher ranked teams like Untouchables, fortunately that didn't seem like it was working. But we'll see if they can find themselves in the winning column again after this break next week. For the fourth seed so far is a team by the name of Thick of It, a very interesting team name. This team is consisting of Kinda Super Dubs, Baba Kanoosh, and Izord. This is one of the surprise teams for me here, Yellow Dog. I wasn't fully convinced coming into the season, about this team. I didn't think they'd be the bottom of the division, but I didn't predict them being up at number 4 by any means. Izord's having himself a very good season as the second pick at a goal per game. He is 4th in the division in that category. So he's been playing absolutely out of his mind. Baba Kanoosh also very known for being a shooter at 0.9 goals per game. And then the captain of Kinda Super Dubs at 0.75. So this is a very high goal output game. They are the second highest goal output in Division B, right behind Untouchables. So Thick of It seem to be playing super, super well. And we'll see if they can continue after break here.
Honestly, like I don't think it's a skill diff that they're having. They're not like outspeeding anyone. I don't think this team is outspeeding anyone. Izord, absolutely no offense. This is just not his playstyle. He doesn't play fast. That's super dubs. That goes for more controlled. Bob Kanoosh, I'm not sure exactly how he plays, but they just have like they had that instant team chem week 1. A lot of good vibes on this team. Izord is always good vibes. He's always hyping up his teammates. Kind of super dubs, super good vibes. Again, I don't really know much about Bob Kanoosh, but having 2 players that are hyping each other up, and their third, not their third, but the other member, is just super beneficial for a team.
Funny that you say that Izord isn't a fast player because I'm instantly going to prove you wrong. He is 5th
What?
in the division for speed, leading his team.
Really, because the vibe I get from him whenever I play with or against him is he's good at like knowing how and when to boom the ball over your head.
That's true. I
Really?
would say the same thing. But yeah, he has a 5th highest speed in the division. So at
Really?
1595. For me, this feels like a team of like an IQ team for me. Like they aren't the meckiest. They aren't the meckiest players in the world. Obviously, I've seen kind of super dubs hit some crazy reads and stuff like that.
I
But
think he's the only really mechy player.
right, Baba Kanoosh, I don't think he's the most meckiest. Izord can, but I don't know if he really goes for him in threes or anything like that. This just feels like a very rotational, smart team, and I think that's the reason why they're 4-1 right now.
For sure.
I mean, it's been proven time and time again that you don't need mechs to win, even at the highest, at SSL. So, it seems like that's kind of what this team almost rides on. But super fun team to watch, and we'll see if they can continue to find that success. But let's go on to one of the worst teams, in my opinion, of Division B.
I'm always with the Rolleon.
The current number 3 seed of Straw Hats. This is gonna be a team consisting of iCosmic, your boy Yellow Dog here on the desk, and Pasky. A super fun team to watch. They start off. You can talk probably the most about your team, but you start a little bit of a rough start to your season, but it looks like you guys have turned it around.
Yeah, I mean, we started 0-2. Both were game 5s. What was our second series? I do not remember our second series. Who did we play?
Your second series was Untouchables.
Oh, so we played 2 very solid teams to start off with. We played Thick of It week 1. They came in with good chemistry. We went to game 5. We came in pretty nervous. Week 2, I'm gonna be honest, it felt like they should have won in 3 or 4 games. It felt kind of dominant on their side for a good chunk of that series, but we did bring it to game 5. And then we finally, yet again in week 3, turn around game 5 against Lobotomy, and another game 5 week 4 against Sloppy Dogs. And then we've just been on a tear the last couple of weeks. We won 7 in a row. We beat, who did we beat first in a sweep? It was Assisted Living was one of them. And then who was the other team
that you swept?
Yeah, we won 7 in a row. Was it? Oh, it was Whiff City. We played last week. Yeah. So yeah, Straw Hats won 7 games in a row. Up against probably our last, what I would consider a top team in Goofy Goobers. I think that's our only real challenge for the season. So I think if we can beat Goofy Goobers, I think Straw Hats can win out after going 0-2.
That's crazy. Completely disregarding your week 8 matchup against Dog Nappers.
We'll get to that. I'm not worried. No, I honestly, I don't know. I'm not sure what the stats are here for total goals per game.
Total goals
are we up there.
2.54 for you guys.
So we're getting up there, pretty well rounded, honestly. Not really any position based players. I just kind of have happened to be in the right spot at the right time, more so than my teammates. So I'm up there in goals per game at 1.08. I was leading in goals and participation, but since it's been taken over.
But you suck. So you now have dropped down where you belong. And I predict you to, fall a little bit lower too, but we'll see if
you fall. Okay. Right.
Sorry, you're just self-raising yourself, so I gotta come in and knock you down a little bit here. But
Yeah.
but yeah, no, yeah, like your team has been playing fantastic, like you said, four back, uncontested wins back to back. You do have a couple of challenging, teams left to play of Goofy Goobers and Dog Nappers. To see
challenging team.
So we'll see. We'll see if you guys can keep that up. I know you guys have been playing super well lately, and hopefully you guys can keep going there. But the current number 2 seed at 5% higher win percentage than Straw Hats is Dog Nappers. This is a super interesting team to me. One of the standout stats that I saw here is their shots per game as a team. They got decent goals per game at 2.14, but their shots per game is 6.81, which is almost the lowest in the entire division. The only one lower is Div A wannabes. And so they're not getting a lot of shots. They're not getting a lot of, offensive pressure, but the shots that are going in, they got a decently high shooting percentage and super high saves per game at 4. So very interesting team composition here. This team is consisting of Rickamus Prime, Shaded, and Huskers, a throwback to Stormwatchers last season. It looks like they've been finding some good success here so far this season.
I'm not convinced whatsoever. Okay, look at this. Okay, I want y'all to look at the bottom 4 teams of the division: Lobotomy, Assisted Living, Whiff City, and Div A Wannabes. Of these 4 wins of Dog Nappers, all 4 have been from the bottom 4 teams. Before Lobotomy got their series win against Div A Wannabes, I believe it was. The combined record of those teams that they beat, 3-16. I'm not convinced. So I'll we'll see if they're truly one of the top dogs. No pun intended. After I'm not sure who they play this week, but I mean they've already played the bottom 4. So the only people they have left to play are good teams, and the team that they lost to was one of those good teams. So I think they have a lot to prove, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, no, it is hard to argue against that, because like I said, the teams they have left to play is Thick of It, the number 4 seed, Untouchables, which is the number 1 seed, Sloppy Dogs, which is game 5s over and over again. I don't think they deserve to be number 6 seed. And then to end it off is you guys. So like you said, it's hard to argue against that. They've had arguably one of the easier schedules
Easiest
of Division B. So we'll see, like you said, if they can continue to find that success in the rest of their series. But moving on is the number 1 undisputed team here of Division B of Untouchables. Truly been untouchable so far this season. Aquamaniac, Xander, and Jive. You got the brother chem here. I think the brother chem is truly the difference here of Xander and Jive. Jive, by far the entire steal of the draft here, leading in so many categories. You got Jive at 1.35 goals per game, 0.2 above Xander. You got Jive at the top of shooting percentage at 46%. What else here? Unfortunately not saves. That would have been cool. Looks like he's 8th in shots per game, 4th in assists per game. I mean, seriously, and 4th in goal participation as well. Not to mention his brother Xander, the technical first pick of this team, right under him at 1.13 goals per game. So the first and second pick of Jive and Xander are 1 and 2 in goals per game in the entirety of the division. That chemistry is insane. The goal participation for Xander is 2nd in the division at 68%. I mean, I cannot glaze these guys enough. These 2 guys are 1 and 2 or at least in the top 3 of so many stats. It's been crazy to see the production from the first and second picks on this team. That's not to mention Aquamaniac hasn't been doing his role either, but to have that type of production out of your picks is really unheard of in DCRL.
And just across the board from this team, the amount of goals that are assisted on this team is like 85% to 90%. It's like
Yeah.
Aquamaniac has more assists than goals. Xander is only 0.1 behind in assists compared to his goals. And then Jive is like about 0.6 behind from assist to goal. Like, this team is assisting so many goals. They don't take flight much. They're very they're a very grounded team. They suffocate you. They maintain pressure. It's honestly like a really cool type of Rocket League. I love that type of Rocket League where it's just suffocating and finding each other. They know where to be at the right time. It's just kind of Aquamaniac and Xander being that first and second man, and then Jive cleaning up a lot of these goals.
Yeah, no, it's like you said, this team, I would say is like the epitome of like smart IQ, well challenged, you know, not a lot of double commits. It's putting yourself in the right place at the right time. That is like what this team is, on top of having, you know, good mechs as well. And just being, you know, fast Rocket League players. So it's like you said, this team has been a lot of fun to watch and very, very dominant. I see Jive in the chat here. In their last 12 games, Untouchables are 12-0 and have outscored their opponents 49-9. I had to say that, but that is just an absolutely insane stat line there to point out. But without further ado, like I said, Untouchables having a great season. Let's go ahead and give our picks here. I think the team that might fall down a little bit, and I think you and I are gonna say the same one, is gonna be Dog Nappers. I think it's really hard to argue against their schedule difficulty. Their 4 wins are against the 4, you know, lower seeded teams, and they have yet to play these higher seeded teams to give them that challenge. I'm hoping they're up for that challenge, and I love the boys on that team. They're fun to talk to, fun to play with. Rickamus, Shaded, and Huskers. But I think they're gonna fall down the ranks a little bit. I think they're gonna take a couple losses as we go into the rest of the season. And my team that's gonna step up, I have a feeling you and I might have similar answers here. The reasonable answer here is Sloppy Dogs. They've had so many game 5s, so many close series. They have a really high ceiling. I think they can rise up a little bit. But my true pick is going to be Assisted Living. 1-5 on the season. I'm going to stick with my gut on this one. I had it in the preseason. I think this team, once they can lock down the rotations, stop double committing so much, I think this Assisted Living team can truly win more series for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with the same for the team that are gonna fall down a bit. And Dog Nappers, I've already made my case. I don't really need to talk about that too much. But for the team that will go up, I mean, you mentioned Sloppy Dogs as the reasonable answer. That's who I'm gonna go with. I do think Assisted Living can also end the season pretty well, but I think Sloppy Dogs have a really good chance to just almost win out on the season. Maybe drop one series. I think they can go 6-3, and they're 3-2 right now. So that's definitely, you know, rising up, going 3-1 season.
Right, yeah, because the rest of Sloppy Dogs, they got to go against Div A wannabes, and then they got yeah, and then they got Dog Nappers, and then
Freebie.
And then they got Lobotomy. So those are the last 3 teams that they got to finish off. So they got a lot of those.
I don't think they've played. They got one more series, I think, because they've only played.
Oh, and With
so
City.
far, so
and With City.
Oh my cake.
So in reality, they're pretty much the opposite of Dog Nappers in terms of schedule. They had a lot of really hard series so far, and other than Dog Nappers, who are currently at, you know, the number 2 seed, they've got some tough road ahead of them. We'll see if they can but that's gonna be Division B for you all. This has been going way longer than I thought, but definitely gonna be making some changes to the stream next semester. But let's just keep her rolling, and end off the day here on
be faster
teams. On Division A here, the highest esteemed, the best Rocket League players that we got here in North and South Dakota. It's been an interesting season for Division A. We've had a little bit less, players, which gives us a little bit more rank disparity. Shout out rank disparity.
Shut up.
So it makes it a little bit more interesting here in Division A. So let's go ahead and start at the bottom with Sigma Gooners, one of two what's the word? One of two teams that haven't been able to find a win so far.
One of two defeated teams.
One of two. That's insane. Wow, that's crazy. But this team is consisting of Parker, Silk, and Mitch. It's been an interesting season for them. I would like to say that they've had some great chances, but that 21% winning percentage realistically isn't really doing it for me so far. Week 1 they do bring it to a game 5 against Monkey Business. They do go game 4 against Kawhi Leonard. 3-0 swept by Los Jefes. 3-0 swept by Cooked. Game 4 against Despicable Me's, which is they got a game off of the number 1 seed, but ultimately
They already played like the top teams.
they've been they've had a rough schedule. I will give them that. But I mean, it's hard to argue against that 21 win percentage. Pretty low shots per game. It looks like they're on defense for the entirety of their games. If they can start finding a way to be a little bit more offensive, finding some more opportunities, maybe they can bring it back. But man, when you watch their series, it's hard to see that.
Yeah. Parker kind of reached on both of his picks here. Drafting a little bit down for Silk, and then what I feel like a lot of people thought and considered was the biggest reach in this draft, Mitch, is like their best player so far. At least statistically, he is leading in shooting percentage. Granted, he's only taking 2 shots, but he's still putting up more goals per game than his captain Parker, who's insane. So that's really surprising. I figured he would do well just because, not saying he moves around brainlessly, but a lot of people who get moved up think too much, and that hurts them. I think Mitch is confident is maybe a better word in his game style.
Yeah.
So he's been doing just fine today.
His stats are super weird to me, right?
He's no assist.
He's leading his team in goals per game at only 0.03 more than his captain Parker. Taking really high shooting percentage, quite a few shots as well, but he also has the lowest goal participation. So by far, right? Despite that high goals per game, he's not involved in a lot of the overall goals, right? Parker ultimately has a really high goal participation at Parker's number 3 in goal participation on his team. So or not on his team in the division. So it's kind of an interesting stat line there. He's having a good season, but is he really being as involved as we think he is kind of the question. But definitely
stat. There we go.
Definitely an unfortunate start for Sigma Gooners, but hopefully they can turn it around here. When you got Parker on your team, anything is really possible. That man is racked at Rocket League. But moving on, we do have Rookie Rumblers, which is a true testament to their name. They have 2 complete newbies to Dcrl in I'm Potatoes, the captain of this team, and Disabled, the second pick. They are joined by Uncle Sam, coming off a steaming hot season last semester, arguably the best Division B player. This has been kind of interesting because I'm Potatoes, definitely probably the highest ranked player on his team, but only dropping 0.38 goals per game, which is a little bit unfortunate. And Uncle Sam is actually leading the division, leading his team at 0.81 goals per game. So again, it kind of seems like this might be a little bit of a, what do you want to call it? A lack of experience issue here, because both the rookies not really performing to the level that maybe their rank would have said. And I think that's kind of one of the main reasons for their lack of success this season.
Yeah, I mean, it's understandable that they've had a rough start. I mean, they have. I got this written down here. Let me look. Oh, they've played all the top 4 teams as well. So another team that's had a rough schedule. And also, the only 2 rookies in Div A were on this team. Those only.
Yeah, you're right.
There's a few Div A rookies, including Uncle Sam,
Yep.
but rookies entirely. So they've never been in Dcrl before. They don't like. They're still trying to get it all together. And tagging that along with a really tough schedule. Honestly, like them taking 1 series, I think is a pretty decent outcome. If I'm being honest, for all being rookies, having a tough schedule, coming out 1-3 isn't worst case scenario.
I would totally agree with that, right? Because week 1, Los Jefes, week 2, Cooked, week 3, Despicable Me's, week 4, they haven't played yet technically against Kawhi Leonard, Backboard Bros. So I mean, literally, all 4 teams that they've played so far have been in the top 4. So definitely a tough schedule for them. So hopefully, throwing them to the Wolves here in the season, gave them some good experience, give them a good understanding of how DCRL works and what it's like to play on a team. And hopefully, when they go against some of these lower, seeded teams, they can start finding some dubs. But we'll see if that is the case. Moving on, we do have Kawhi Leonard, consisting of Ren, Shavin, and Penn. This is a team that I was very interested in because Ren had a very good season last semester, made it all the way to the grand finals with Swamp Donkey and I'm blanking.
Brickwall
and
Samuel Sub.
And then Samuel Sub. So Ren had a very good season last semester, and then Shavin also a pretty winning player in DCRL, and then Penn also made it to the grand finals in Division B last semester. So this is a team full of winners. It was just going to be a matter of if they could piece it together. So far, it's been a lot of game 5s, a lot of game 4s for this team. They've only played 3 series so far. I think Ren had some vacation or something like that. Penn or someone didn't allow them to play. So, only 3 series so far, but it's a team that has a lot of potential in my eyes.
I completely agree. I think this team has a good bit of potential. Looking like a somewhat like a gradient of a team, at least when I'm looking at the stats here. Mainly the shots. Ran with 1, Shavin 0.75, Penn almost at 0.6. So it looks how you would probably expect it to. But Penn is continuously improving. He is always getting better. Shavin's always in free play, I guess. But no, I think this team can be very well-rounded and good and solid. I have my doubts against the upper echelon of teams, but I'm sure that they can improve and prove me wrong.
Yeah, when you're 1-2, 41% winning percentage, anything's truly going to be possible. Very, very defensive team. Javin's leading the division in saves per game at 2.5. And you got Ren third in the division for shooting percentage at 35%. Just all around, seems like a pretty defensive based team here. But let's go ahead and move on now. We got Monkey Business 2-3 on the season, 42% winning percentage on the season. By far one of the most crazy, producing one of the most crazy series I've ever seen and casted in DCRL history. This team consisting of P Money, Kicker, and Styles. Any team with P Money on it is gonna be a fun one to watch. He is having himself a crazy season so far. He's second in the division at 1.42 goals per game, just 0.01 behind Remzik. At one point, he was leading He is leading the division in goal participation, which is probably the main stat line that you kind of want to look at. We've seen it time and time again on stream, where he has a capability to just take over a series and literally and quite literally do it all himself. It doesn't matter who his teammates are. And that 81% goal participation tells you that entire story.
Yeah, I was about to bring it up. You've got 1.42 goals, more than both his teams combined, which would make you think that Styles and Kicker are just lobbing it up for him to jam it in or shoot it. That's not the case, though. He's got more assists than his teammates, which is honestly really surprising to me. And just like JD, he's also leading his team in saves per game. So he's doing it all. A little birdie told me that Key Money wasn't going to take it super serious this season. Be a little bit more relaxed and chill. I am really doubting the person that told me that, because he is leading his team in every set.
Yeah.
Even demos. What is he not leading in? He's leading in shots by a lot and shooting percent. It's every speed, time supersonic.
All right, but
Okay,
yeah, we get the point.
Round time's the only one not.
Yeah,
it's insane.
yeah. If that's truly gonna be the play style, I'm a little concerned for this team, right? Because even though you're P Money, even though you got P Money on your team, it's not a reliable play style. It's really not. You, no matter who it is, if it's Remzik, if it's P Money, I've experienced it firsthand. Truly, you cannot win Division A just relying on P Money. Maybe you can make it to LAN, maybe you can make a run in playoffs, but you just can't do that. So I'm truly, if Kicker and Styles can find a way to get a little bit more involved, one way or another, we'll see. We can talk, because this team definitely has what it takes. But in my opinion, just can't rely on P Money to do everything. So
sure,
we'll see if that can happen playoff times. Let's go ahead and move on to Backboard Bros, who are 3-2 on the season, 50 above that 50% winning percentage. This is a team consisting of Remzik, Aquatoad, and Ham Bungus. There's been a few seasons now where Remzik has had a little bit of a slow start to a season. The season where, you know, we started 0-4,
right? Not him personally.
What's that?
You mean like his team started slow, not him personally, right?
Yes, his team starts slow. Sorry, yeah, that is correct.
Just making sure.
He has a history of, maybe his team starting a little bit slow and then working his way back. He's done it a couple times now in DCRL history. Remzik now probably the most winningest player in DCRL history, even at the highest level up in Division A. We know what he's capable of, leading the division in goals per game just by a little bit at 1.43 over P Money. Let's see, he's second in goal participation at 79%, leading the division in shots per game at almost 5 per game, which is absolutely insane. And then, yeah, his teammates in Aquatoad and Hambungus, little bit, it's kind of a similar situation to Monkey Business in my opinion. And if you look at stats alone, it's even more of a kind of a one man job there from Remzik. If you look at stats alone, I'm not sure if that's the case. But again, it's the same thing for me for Monkey Business. If Aquatoad and Hambungus can find ways to support Remzik, this team truly, any team with Remzik on it has a chance to go far.
Yeah, and I remember hearing a couple of people talk about it early in the season about ways that these two players can help and support Remzik. As mentioned, Hambungus is good at taking small pads, allowing Remzik to have full boost for all these goals. And I've just seen throughout their series that I've watched, they're a very pass-heavy team. I'm not sure if it shows it in the stats. I'm not going to do the math right now. But yeah, no, they're a very pass-heavy team. They look for each other a lot. And a cool little fact I found out, they consist of 1 through 3 on the most demoed per game. So they're getting blown up a lot collectively as a team.
That's actually kind of insane. People just queue up against Remzik and go, all right, let's just delete this guy off the field.
And his teammates as well.
I don't know if Remzik's ever been the most demoed per game. Maybe he has. I would imagine that people target him, but usually he's really good at avoiding them. But it's kind of insane to see that stat line finding him there. But yeah, no, this Backboard Bros team definitely fun to watch. We'll see if they can make some waves here. But let's go on to the top 3 seeds here. Number 3 is going to be Cooked, also 3-2 on the season, 57% win percentage. This team consisting of Risser, Swamp Donkey, and Weevil. Again, this is kind of almost a similar situation to Backboard Bros and Monkey Business. Risser doing, you know, a lot of that heavy lifting to start off the season. But if I look at the schedule here, yeah, they're 0-2 to start the season. Week 3, they take down Backboard Bros. And week 4, they go against Sigma Gooners, sweep them, sweep Monkey Business. So they still got a couple tough games ahead of them. They've had, you know, not the easiest schedule, but also not the hardest. It's going to be interesting for this team. I predicted this team to be very, very good, especially with Swamp Donkey, you know, falling low. It's kind of a similar situation to a Mega Blaze. I predict this team to go far, and I think they're only figuring things out as they go, how to play with each other. So even though they've had, you know, a semi-easy schedule, you could say, I think this team is one of those teams that has figured their play style out the most, and I think they're going to find more success.
I am honestly, I kind of figured they would have a bit of a slower start to the season, just knowing how Risser plays and how Swamp Donkey plays. I mentioned it before, it's kind of like mixing oil and water, but I think they've just spun it around fast enough that it's kind of mixing, and they're figuring it out. Yeah, you mentioned they started 0-2. They've been going opposite. I think they're on a 9-game win streak. They reverse swept Backboard Bros for their first win, and then they've swept the last 2 weeks. So they're on a 9-game winning streak.
That is true. Yep.
And also Swamp Donkey leading in ground time. Grass is green. Statement. Like, well. What do we got here?
Yeah, Risser having himself a great season so far. 2nd in shooting percentage. 4th in saves per game. So doing a lot on both sides of the ball. Similar situation though. How can Swamp Donkey and Weevil support Risser, the star player on this team? How can they, you know, get very involved? And that's something that I think they're figuring out. But
I just found out a little stat here. Just looking, Risser is by far leading the division in demos.
Yep.
That's not what I expect out of Risser. More of a mechanical player, wants to shoot the ball, do like fancy. He comes from a freestyling background. Leading the division with demos is interesting.
I've played against him a little bit, and he's just one of those players that's so good at finding demos on the way out. He's not even like necessarily chasing demos. They're smart demos. They're demos that don't, you know, they aren't super far out of his way and can really mess up the team's rotations and stuff. But let's move on. We got number 2 seed of Los Jefes, consisting of Samuel, Chewy, and Scout. You know, any team, I think a lot of people coming in knew that this team was going to be pretty good. That Sam and Chewy combo was going to be deadly. Sam at a goal per game, and Chewy at 0.6 per game. But really, one of the standout players for me has been Scout. As that 2nd pick, he gets his name called up to Division A, and he has been proving himself here at 0.73 goals per game, higher than Chewy. Shooting, you know, lights out, has the highest shooting percentage on his team. And he's keeping up in terms of goal participation. So, been super impressed with Scout, and I'm honestly think he's one of the main reasons, been that it factor for this team, and one of the reasons why they're 3-1.
I was honestly like a little bit surprised that Scout's doing as well as he is. I knew he was great in Div B, but I was coming into the season in the back of my mind. I thought that Scout might be getting outsped a little bit with a higher level of competition. Well, that's not like at all the case. He might be getting like outsped with some balls, but he's just super consistent. He knows what to do at the right time. He's just a great teammate to have. I played with him a couple times, and he's gonna lob it up middle, and he's there. So he's just super consistent, and probably just the glue guy for this team, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I think, like you said, consistency is his best trait. Just makes, you know, great decisions, not a lot of double commits. Just a smart player from Scout. So super impressed with him. But let's go ahead and move on to the number 1 seed of Despicable Me's, the only undefeated team left, I believe, in DCRL. Every other team has at least 1 loss. And this Despicable Me's team, consisting of Ecrux, Hypnotic, and Spoopy Men. has been deadly. Ecrux at 0.95 goals per game. Hypnotic at 1.21. Third in the division for goals per game.
Insane.
Playing absolutely out of his mind. He's for anybody that doesn't know, he's literally the biggest grinder of Rocket League I have ever seen in my life. He plays so much Rocket League. And it looks like it's paying off here in this season of Dcrl, really proving himself, being one of these top scorers in the division. And then Spoopyman coming off of a Division A championship last season, having another great season so far. You know, easily keeping up with these insane stats from Ecrux and Hypnotic. This team looks unbeatable on paper, but there's a couple teams that I could see, you know, having a good series and taking them down, but I haven't really looked at their schedule, but...
Oh, I've got something. I was about to bring it up. Los Jefes and Despicable Me's week 8, right before playoffs.
Oh.
Mark it in your calendar. I think that is gonna. That might be series.
That might be a
series of the
pre-look.
season. That
might be a pre-look at grand finals. That's what it might
That
be.
might like. It's insane. But actually getting into this team here, it's. I think it's a lot of Spoopyman and Ecrux doing like their usual thing, and I am kind of surprised Hypnotic is leading by far in goals. I knew he was going to be very, very good for this team. Kind of bringing them together and bringing the team together as a whole, but he's going above and beyond at that. He's going insane right now.
Yeah, he really is. The one standout stat for me is the shots per game. One of the only teams in all of DCRL, I have never seen a team be above 10 shots per game. 10 shots per game on average is an absolutely insane stat line.
Are they above 10?
Yeah, 10.0, 10.05.
I knew Goofy Goobers was for a bit in Div B. They might have dropped down, but Div A is crazy.
Yeah, all 3 players on this team are in the top 10 for shots per game. You got Hypnotic at 4.26 shots per game. You got Ecrux at 2.95 and then Spoopyman at 2.84. So, I mean, every player is super involved. It looks like if I were to predict it without watching a series, which I have, so I'm kind of cheating, but super good at midfield presence. They don't let the ball, once they have the ball in your half, good luck getting it out. So this Despicable Me's team, the Titan of Division A, arguably the best team in all of DCRL, having a great start to the season. But we have been yapping for so long. Let's go ahead and finish this up. I'll give a couple of my predictions here before we do end this one off. My team that I think might, hard to say what's gonna fall off, because I think a lot of these teams have really proven themselves and not a lot of mickiness happening, I would say. But I don't know. I think the team that might fall off from where they're at, which is kind of sucky to say, in my opinion, is going to be Monkey Business. I think that 42%. I think that 42% is kind of crazy. You can, unless they can turn around and find a way to support P Money a little bit, I think they're going to be losing some more series. I think their last series they got 3-0 swept by Cooked, so they got some like negative momentum going.
Well, I mean, Kicker wasn't even awake.
That is true. There is that aspect to it.
Yeah, but no, I mean, regardless,
that's kind of my prediction. I could see them losing a couple more if they don't change something. And then the team that I think could step it up a little bit, and we're probably going to say the same thing here. I'm going to go with Kawhi Leonard. I'm going to go with it. I'm going to say Kawhi Leonard and will win a couple more series here. Javin, one of the most analytical people I've seen on Rocket League, knows what it takes to win, and has an acquired attribute of learning how to what's the word I'm looking for? How to give that to his teammates in the right way to make it happen. And so I think this Kawhi Leonard team could win out, if not win a couple more series in the regular season.
I am gonna have to. I thought I was gonna have a hot take saying Monkey Business. Seeing that they're already negative on the season. But that's the only team I can really see.
Me too.
Like, I don't know. I think Monkey Business will go down. But for a team that will kind of shoot up, I'm going to go with the Rookie Rumblers. I think they can turn it around. I talked about their schedule so far. They've already played the top 4. They're all rookies. One being a rookie to Deve, 2 just being a rookie in general. I think once they get their feet on the ground, I think they can start running pretty fast here. I think they can take at least a couple series. They've got 4 left. They're halfway through their game so far, and I think they can end up at least 3-5.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that being a possibility. But okay. Well, that about wraps it up for our.
Not what I signed up for.
Our first.
Not what I wrote down in the script.
Our first attempt at this one. There we have it. A little bit of a mid-season checkup. I'll toss it back to just us two here. A lot of crazy storylines. All in all, a lot of crazy storylines. You know, we were looking at a lot of, you know, schedule strength, a lot of crazy, you know, people doing crazy things, people leading in things we didn't really expect. It's always fun. That's always my favorite part, is seeing some of these storylines and, you know, forming my own predictions on what's going to happen. It's a lot of fun to see, and that's my favorite part of DCRL. But I will say, you know, this is our first trial run of this type of stream. We're gonna make changes. We'll make some changes to make it a little bit shorter, a little bit more, you know, engaging and stuff like that, because we just yapped for 2 hours, Dave.
Oh, dude, I'm getting so hot in this suit.
Dude.
Oh my god. So hot.
So I do apologize for how long this did take. We'll definitely be, like I said, I have some ideas already of what we can do to make this a little bit more fun to watch, and we'll definitely.
I don't know, going through every team. Oof.
Yeah, that was definitely a mistake. But like I said, we'll improve. This is our first one doing it, so we will definitely improve and you know, do this again next semester in a much better fashion. But Yellow Dog, thank you so much for sticking it through. I'm surprised you agreed. I'm surprised you didn't say something to me like, "Oh my god, bro!" Like,
I was worried about my laptop percentage. It's getting down there because it's not in the charger. I moved it from my charging
it lasted
station
2
or, like,
hours
area. Yeah,
Wow, that's insane.
with the camera on as well, with the Video Ninja, which just drains.
That's insanity right there.
After suffocating my laptop with a pillow a couple years ago. Anyways, let's
Yeah, let's end this off. It seems like Yellow and I can just sit here and talk for however long we want about DCRL. But like I said, I do apologize for how long this takes. We will definitely be making some changes as we go in. I do want to give a quick shout out to a couple people who subbed. Like, we got Weevil subbing earlier. I think we had Tyler. Yep, there he is. And then I think Chemic actually gifted a sub to somebody earlier. So we'd always appreciate all the support, boys.
And Zarch, I believe, earlier in the stream.
Was it Zarch? Oh yeah,
I believe
right.
Zarch was earlier, like 43 months. So shout out Zarch.
Shout out
if
Zarch,
you're still
man.
in here for some reason. That was like early in the stream. So if you're still in here, absolute trooper.
Absolute
Bless
trooper.
your soul.
Just endured 2 hours of just straight yap. But okay, with that out of the way, guys, we will do this again next semester. It'll be different. We'll do better. But thank you guys for all sticking around. I'm super excited to finish off the season. 3 weeks left before we hit playoffs, when everything comes to a close. To close off season 6 of DCRL in Grand Forks at UND for our LAN event. So it'll be a lot of fun. Thank you guys all for watching. Yellow Dog, thanks for casting with me, and we will be back very shortly with some more Dakota Collegiate Rocket League. So please stay tuned. Peace out, guys.